Guys, I broke my nail literally when I was gonna film this. I had these nails for St. Patty's Day, and here my nail is broken. Mess. Hello, top of the morning to ya. Do people still do that? I don't know. Is it offensive to do an accent if it's like a white person accent? Ethical quandaries we may never know. Greetings, welcome back to my story. If you did not know, my name is Harley Nouveau, and the purpose of this channel is to document my journey towards my North Star, while hopefully helping you find yours along the way. So if that seems like the place for you, then subscribe to my channel and add your name to the storybook that is my life. And let's hope that that story is not cut short by worldwide epidemic or mass hysteria. So I'm coming at you not live from quarantine just yet. Where I live, they pretty much have every non-essential business shut down, but my job is still open, even though we're not open to the public. Because of all the stuff that's been going on this past week, though, that has made it really difficult for me to film because I've been very busy. But here I am. So happy St. Patty's Day. May you get super drunk if you're legal. And if you're not, just don't tell anybody. As promised, in today's chapter of my story, we are going to be reviewing Just My Luck. And no, I don't mean the extremely atrocious 2000s movie starring Lindsay Lohan and Chris Pine. I mean this. Just My Luck, Colourpop, green palette. I do want to preface this review by saying that unfortunately I did not get any footage of me putting on this makeup today. I thought that I had it, but apparently I hit photo instead of record and did not notice until I was done. So, sorry. Let's get into this review. Today, as I said, we will be reviewing the Just My Luck palette from Colourpop. It is their green monochromatic palette. It was the first monochromatic palette that was green. And the website says the following.
She's so lucky, she'll be the star
Okay, Brittany.
of your makeup collection. 4-leaf clover emoji. This green monochromatic palette features 9 richly pigmented shadows in every shade of green you can think of. Bring on the bold Chartreuse looks or add an olive touch to your smoky eye. This palette has got it all.
And this does retail for $12. This time, the box is pretty much the exact same as the component. It doesn't have any of those fancier decals like some of the other ones do, which is good. Again, on the back, they look the same. You can see the 9 different shades included and what their names are. As always, the component itself is a well-trodden path that we've been down before. A cheap component made of plastic, similar to McDonald's or the dollar store. But similar to humans and my favorite books, it's what's on the inside that counts, not the outside. And the inside looks like this. Very nice color story. Now, you guys know I've talked about this color story before. And if you remember what I thought about that, you'll be in for a lot of the same today. But here are the 9 colors. As you can tell looking at it, there are 4 shimmers and 5 matte. Although technically this one is that sequiny kind of shade I told you about, where it's a matte with a little bit of glitter in it, which I don't know if it's picking up on camera. But let's do the breakdown of each individual color, shall we? In order from here to here, we have Chances Are, a matte fresh mint. Kiss My Ass, a matte spearmint. 50/50, a metallic mossy green. Big Banks, a metallic jade. Mary Jane, a metallic chartreuse. Olive You, a metallic olive green. Act Natural, a matte emerald. Mobamba, a matte forest green. And Charmed, a matte khaki olive. Well, the swatches were certainly not my best. I want to get, I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, but they sell them on a couple websites. They're like stickers that you put on your arm and then you can swatch on top of them so it makes shapes. I want to get that in a moon. As you guys know, I've said before, my favorite color range, my favorite color family, I should say, is green. So when I first saw this, I was really, really excited about it. I did, however, put it off until now because I wanted to, you know, do St. Patty's Day because it's a St. Patty's Day themed palette. But let me tell you, the wait for that, horrible. This color right here, Chances Are, you guys know I talked about it in my review of the Mint to Be palette. It's just pretty much a mint. It's a really pretty mint. I used it very little, like in here, so you might be able to say that wash of light minty green. That's usually what I use it for because it is more of a sheer format, as you probably could tell from the swatching. Specifically, these two swatched a little bit patchy. That's because they are less opaque in their execution. Which brings me to Kiss My Ass, Kiss My Hoss. I don't know how to say that. It's the one defined as a spearmint color. I think it's a really good, I wouldn't say foundational color because Chances Are is so sheer. I don't really know if it would work well as a transition. like this look today, which is a little bit more varied. I did use this as more of the transitional color before deepening up with some of the other ones. I think that it performed pretty well. Like the first one, as I said, though, it is a bit sheer, so expect multiple passes to get a really good color payoff. As far as 50-50 over here, I think that it falls into that trap I talked about a bit with a lot of the shimmers in these 9-pan palettes, where it is very similar in execution to Big Banks down here. This one is slightly mossier as opposed to this one, which is more jade, but it's pretty nonetheless. I didn't use that in today's look. I did, however, use Big Banks on my lid, so that's where that like metallic jade came from. I will say, to me, these two colors specifically do not read as overwhelmingly shimmery or metallic. I feel like in execution, especially from a distance, they kind of read as slightly almost matte to me. That could just be my complaint. Now, when it comes to Mary Jane, the Chartreuse color, I don't want to say excited. I was looking forward to it because I don't have a Chartreuse in any of my collections, and Chartreuse has always been a color that really intrigues me because it's so unique. You never really see it anywhere in public or in nature for the most part. And I feel like it can really add that extra bit of drama to a look. However, I will say from playing around with it in execution that in a lot of the lighting, it really just reads as this, which is just like an electric yellow. And you can even kind of see them next to each other. In fact, when I wore this look, it was on my inner corner, like all in here, and everyone kept complimenting me on my yellow eyeshadow. So if you're picking it because you like Chartreuse, just be prepared for a lot of, is that a beautiful yellow that you're wearing? Not the most irritating, but as somebody who prides himself on having to be right all the time, and someone who went to college for art, so many people mischaracterizing the color really just threw me for a loop. Next up is Olive You, the metallic-y olive color. I actually had that one on my lower lash line. I don't know how well you can see it because I feel like, again, in practice, some of these blend out and lose a lot of their metallicness, so they don't have that extra punch. I really like Act Natural down here in the corner, along with Mo Bamba. I feel like both of those are very pigmented, they're very opaque, and they blend out really, really well. I do think that Mo Bamba is my favorite of the two, despite the fact that they are very similar. This one is a bit deeper, and it does have that little subtle difference in formula to really make it stand out. And finally, we have Charmed, which is defined as a khaki olive color, but in practice, I feel like it ends up looking a little more bark colored. I don't have that one on today either, but I did use that in a look the other day. Not that it matters because you didn't see it. I don't know why I would bring that up. Overall, however, I really do enjoy this color story. I think of all of the 9-pan palettes that I have critiqued so far, this is the most well done color story of the bundle because it has the most variety and customizable color story of the bunch. You can get a lot of different varied looks with this. You can go more brown, you can go more green, you can go more minty. You can even feature the Chartreuse and make it look like you have a yellow eye, apparently. So you get a lot of options out of these 9 colors as opposed to, and you know I'm not going to pull them out, all of the other 9 pans for the most part, you're stuck with very similar color stories. So I think that that is something that this does more successful than any other palette I've reviewed so far. As far as the formula goes, it was interesting to note that there seemed to be a big difference in the matte performance. Like I said, these darker mattes came out a lot more pigmented and blendable than these up top, which are a little more sheer and patchy in execution. And then the metallics, I feel like more than any of the other metallics I've tried, were a little bit lacking in their shine and luster. So that was a tad disappointing. However, I really do like the, again, variety in the colors featured in metallic. Because even though these two are very similar, they still look a bit different. This one, like I said, is more jade. That one is a little more mossy. So you do get somewhat of a subtle difference there. I think for the first time, this is a palette that I would maybe only change one color in if I had to. And I think that would have to either be one of these metallics or one of these mattes because they are very similar to each other. I would replace one of those with like a Granny Smith apple green just to add a little bit more variety. Overall though, I think the color story is really a success. And the performance itself also a great success. With all of that being said, how does it stack up to the other palettes on my personal scale? I would say, believe it or not, this is actually my favorite one that I've used so far. And I know I could be biased because I like green. I think even though I talked about some of the performance issues, the color story is really what won me over, and the variety of the palette is really what got me. Being able to do so many different looks with such a little palette really helped this in its, really worked in its favor. So when it comes to the Colourpop Just My Luck palette, I think that it is a total happily ever after. I think if you're someone who is looking for a green palette to try, but you don't want to break the bank and you just want to dip your toes in, this is a really good one to go for only $12. If you're someone who wants to commit to a green palette without committing to a completely green color story, it's another great option for you. Or if you just want to jump into the world of monochromes without limiting yourself too much, I think it's a good median. I really feel like it's a good intersection of all the issues I've talked about when it comes to these monochrome palettes that I have reviewed. That is all that she wrote in this chapter of my story though. Nothing more to talk about other than I need to go find my St. Patty's Day earrings because I don't know where they're at. I also think I look really beautiful today, except for my acne, but I'm loving this beat. Have you tried this palette or have you thought about trying this palette? Sound off in the comments below and let me know what you think. If you came here hoping for me to comment on my thoughts on coronavirus and the situation at large, I really don't know if that's something that I have any business talking about because I'm not an epidemiologist. If I get enough requests, I might just tell where my mindset is in it, but I feel like for the most part, it seems a little bit in bad taste for someone with my kind of content to focus on that subject matter. Or I could be real tacky and make an eyeshadow look based on coronavirus. I want to thank you guys for stopping by and watching my video. As always, feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever. I love the interactivity. I just love the feedback. But with all of that being said, as always, I am Harley Nouveau, and I wish each of you every happiness until our stars next align. Somebody's home.